This podcast is kindly supported by our friends at Acre Pharmacy, one of the key aesthetic pharmacies leading the way in responsible supply.
Hi guys, so today we are going to be interviewing Silvia from Dermafocus. Thank you for coming to join us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
So, Silvia, we've known each other a long time. I think I originally harassed you over the phone because I needed to know more about polynucleotides. So, for those who don't know who you are, I'm not sure how anyone can not know who Silvia is, but for those who don't know who you are, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, of course. Thank you so much for inviting me here. And yes, we know each other for a long time, and I'm so pleased to be in this group today. Yes, my name is Silvia, and I'm from Italy. I started to work in the aesthetic industry 35 years ago, so quite a long time ago. And I was very, very focused on something that can, I would say, slow down aging and without any kind of like side effect, because I really think that I'm a reflexologist as well. I'm not just a trainer. So I think that you have to re-educate yourselves in this way and re-educate your body in order to slow down aging and, of course, having the best results and long-lasting results. So I was starting to study some regenerative medicine treatment in Italy when I was when I was in Italy, and I realized that regenerative medicine was really popular around 2000. And as I said, I started to study a little bit more about that. And I found out different kind of treatment, and this include polynucleotides. So when I started to work in the UK, I started to work with a company that they were, I would say, probably the first distributor of polynucleotides in the UK. I would say that UK was not ready for regenerative medicine at that point. It was more or less about 2015. And then I'm proud now to work with Dermafocus. Dermafocus is the company that I'm working at this moment. They are focused on regenerative medicine. They think that regenerative medicine is the future in the aesthetic, and I do believe so. And as I said, I'm a training manager at Dermafocus, and we started back in 2020, and then two lockdowns. So we are still here. Yeah. We are growing up. So I think we are doing very well. So we are focused on regenerative medicine, as I said, because we are the distributor of a range of polynucleotides. And polynucleotides are really popular at the moment. But sometimes I realize that people still don't know what polynucleotides can really do. So first of all is regenerative medicine. As I said, I know I keep on saying that, but I think it's something that people have to understand, because sometimes they still think it's like a skin booster.
My biggest pet. Well, if I see, and the thing is, you still see really well-known people turning around and saying, polynucleotides, it's a skin booster. Yeah. But I love the fact, I think we've just got to keep laying down regenerative medicine, dose-dependent medicine.
Exactly.
And I think eventually the narrative will come through.
They're still quite new, I suppose, not to you, but to the aesthetic industry as a whole. It is a very new concept. And I think for patients as well, they don't understand what it is. And unless you understand it as a practitioner and you've been educated correctly, then you don't know how to deliver that message.
And some of the smaller dose polynucleotides, some of the smaller brands, they call it a skin booster as well. So it doesn't help when they call it a skin booster.
Yeah.
But do you know what? I say this all the time, because if we complicate the message, how are patients ever going to be clear? You know, so I really do think we need to get our acts together.
Yeah, and I think patients, you have to get the right type of patient as well. Yeah. And obviously the knowledge I've said about teaching, but also helping them to understand that you're getting a cellular level change. So therefore, it's not going to happen in one session. You're not going to walk out and look 12 years old. I mean, that's never going to happen anyways.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
I don't know what you'd be giving them. Coming on.
Maybe. I have to try.
But yeah, it's just education is key. But something that I would kind of want to pass on the message correctly would be, what is a polynucleotide in your words?
Yeah. Okay. So I would say that polynucleotides are this kind of like, call it molecule, if you want to call it molecule, that can basically help your old skin to act as younger skin. So we all know that if we have healthy lifestyle, and if we drink enough, if we do exercise enough, if we eat well, we cannot stop aging, but we definitely can slow down aging. So this is the same as our cells. If you don't feed your cells in a proper way, and polynucleotides turns to be into, in a very easy way, food for our cells, in that way, you can feed your cells with the best food. And then, of course, you can help them to, I would say, act as a younger cells. Yeah. So this is, for myself, the easier way to explain to the patient. And of course, we have also to make them understand that, unfortunately, the stress and the negative, I would say, thought that we have, the fears, the worries that we have every day, of course, it doesn't help. So for this reason, we really need to be focused on the regenerative medicine, because also for very young patient, it's not like when I was younger. I'm 55 now, nearly, in January.
You look so good.
Yeah. So I try my best to regenerate myself. So again, when I was younger, you were aging more like not photo-aging, more physically aging. At this point, unfortunately, people 30 years old, they are so stressed.
Yeah.
And also the pollution and everything, it doesn't help. So I'm not talking about like polynucleotides is just for, 40, 50 years old clients, but patient, but definitely also for youngest to prevent.
Yeah.
Because again, getting back to the lifestyle, if you start to have a good lifestyles when you are younger, is definitely, work better than when you are older, because of course the damage is already there. You can help, but you cannot do a massive difference.
Yeah.
So this is my point of view. And I believe that now a lot of clients, they look for something, let me say, natural, and less aggressive than, other kind of injectables.
Yeah. So, you've just brought on to a really good point. All three of us train for polynucleotides, and we deliver that training all the time. And I think when I'm trying to educate practitioners, a lot of them are prescribing practitioners, and I draw their attention to drugs and how we talk about a mode of action, how it achieves what it's meant to achieve. And I think it does help to think along those lines when you're educating patients, because I will sit there and say, you go to see your GP and your cholesterol is high and they put you on a statin. You are not going to be 20 years young, 20, you're not going to reverse 20 years overnight. It's an organ. It needs time to regenerate, to change. If we have an illness and we take medication, it's going to take time. And I think when we talk about how polynucleotides work and how it works on the receptors, that takes time. And we have to start thinking of it in that terminology, don't we? Skin being an organ and polynucleotides being itself. But where I was going with it, going off on a tangent, is how it works well with other products, because I think this is what a lot of people were panicking over. I know a lot of practitioners said to me, I was wary about introducing polynucleotides because I didn't want to stop seeing my filler patients. Yeah. And filler companies, of course, I imagine have all felt the impact.
But it's something that it works completely different.
100%, and actually can work synergistically.
Exactly. And then again, if you prep the skin, for some people that they should have some fillers, because polynucleotides, they don't add any volume. So of course, you need to still work in with fillers and Botox and other kind of injectable skin booster also. You have to, again, to make them understand that it's like a soil, right? If you put the right
raw material.
Yes, and then you plant your little flowers, then it will grow up better. So it's something that can make, I would say, a good base in order to build up the results with other kind of aesthetic procedures, any kind.
And surgeries.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you, Meg, have been having such great results in your practice for rosacea, haven't you?
Yeah, it's been incredible.
I always draw my students to look at your page to see the results that you've been getting, such a great reduction.
Yeah.
I mean, again, this is showing that there is seriously a place for it.
No, definitely. But with other modalities, and bringing it back to you, ping-ponging it back to you, Kate, with your most recent research study, combining two types of modalities, to have incredible results and working synergistically. So it is something that you can embed in your practice with any type of
procedure.
Different. Yeah, exactly. So I think that's what makes it so incredible, is it's so versatile and you can get results that, like my rosacea patients, they couldn't dream of getting with some other things that they've had in the past and not seeing the same results. And I think it's something that people don't consider, but there are so many different ways. I've got someone at the moment who I'm treating for really bad scarring, like post-acne scarring, and the results that I've seen just from 2 sessions have been incredible.
And it can go anywhere with this skin.
Yeah.
We were limited with other skin boosters. You couldn't place it too close to the eye. You couldn't place it on hands. You couldn't do so much with other ones. With this, you can place it anywhere, really. And if you're using the correct licensed polynucleotides, dose dependent, with reduced downtime and great results. Yeah. Really.
But I had one of my old students, a doctor from Liverpool, reach out to me literally days ago, because she's going to do a clinical paper, because she treats a lot of tear trough, and she was showing me some of her studies of the reduction in pigmentation on the under eye has been insane. And the thing is, yes, that is a patient that will then go on probably to have filler. Yeah. But if you're struggling with pigmentation, you need to tackle that before you then deal with the secondary impact of the hollowing.
But like you said as well, anyone can have it. Whereas with tear trough filler, not everyone is a candidate.
So you can prep the skin so you get better results for your tear trough filler, and you need less filler because the skin's in better condition.
Absolutely. Yes. So what would we've thrown around, all of us have thrown around the statement of polynucleotides being safe. We all know that. We've all heard that. But there has been noise of people saying, you can't have polynucleotides if you have allergies. You can't have polynucleotides because of this. We know the answer, but Silvia, how would you respond to those people when we talk about the safety profile of polynucleotides?
Okay, so the product is definitely a safe product. It's on the market since 2005. So if it would be any kind of problem, we probably should know that. Yeah. I agree that probably-ish, if you have any patient with a true fish allergy, because people most of the time they have shellfish allergy. Yeah. So it's very rare to find someone that is allergic to fish or to trout in this case. But if you have any, just in order to make the patient more, I would say, safe, you can do a little blebs, wait for half an hour, and we know that nothing is going to happen. And then again, just to make them more comfortable, because if they think that the product comes from fish and you inject it straight away, we know the minds can, can trigger the reaction of the skin is related. So for this reason, also for, I would say, our safe, we can do that just in order to be 100% safe, and mostly to deal with this patient that sometimes are a little bit anxious. Because of course, if I have an allergy and you're telling me in my plate there is something that comes from that kind of source, maybe I will eat it, but in my mind it's still there, right? So we know that it can create
a response.
Yes. Yeah. So for this reason, I would say just for this reason, to do a little blabs, see half an hour what is going on, is not going to happen anything, because we know that also from Professor Cavallini that he treated already people with fish allergy with no problem at all. But just to be, always we look after our patient. So we need to look after our patient also in that way. Yeah. And if we force them to do something that they are not like, I don't know, in that case, we are not good practitioner, I would say. And so we are all good practitioners here.
Like, girls, you've been doing polynucleotides for young. So in your practices, what's the worst that you've ever come across with polynucleotides?
I would say malar, like fat pad swelling.
Yeah.
But again, that's probably it.
It's all reversible anyway.
Yeah. That's probably the worst that I've seen. Well, it is the worst I've seen. Yeah. Exactly.
The deadly bruise.
A bruise.
Yeah. Or maybe as you said, that if you don't use the right product in the right area, you can have, I would say, erythema, a lot of swelling, but it's just something that you do something out of the protocols. So.
or the patient does something not following
Yeah, of
the
course,
aftercare.
of course, because
Yeah.
they always blame us, but sometimes they do something wrong.
Yeah,
Or they don't say anything.
exactly.
Absolutely. We checked our numbers before today because we completed a couple of months ago our 1,000 treatment with polynucleotides, just to have a look at that. And we have not had one single adverse response at all using the entire range with various milligrams.
Yes.
7.5.
Yeah, as I said, the only ones that I got, I believe it could be probably, you can count your hand.
Yeah.
Since 2020, it was just because the practitioner didn't follow the protocols.
Yeah.
This was the only
Absolutely.
problem. And for this reason, as I said, they can have swelling. Instead of having for 24 hours, they could have it probably for 2 weeks, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But nothing that can,
No permanent damage.
No, absolutely.
I think we know, like, what do we say is the maximum for periorbital? 20 milligrams is and then people sometimes do go a bit rogue and play around with 40 milligrams. That's never going to end well, though, is it?
The first session,
Yeah, I can imagine.
Swelling.
Or the mixture with HA.
and
Yeah.
they said, but the first time was okay. Yeah, but the second time is not okay because your body is building up new
Yeah.
cells. And as we said, it takes time. So when I do a treatment and I need to wait 3-4 weeks in order to do the second one, my body is building up new cells. So if you're going to inject again exactly the same higher concentration, then you can have problem.
Yeah.
It's like when someone is very young, I'm not going to do a lot of if I'm young, if I have a young patient or more age patient, I treat them maybe with the same active ingredients, but differently.
Yeah.
And this is the same.
So, Silvia, the last 12 months have, I think, from anyone watching from the outside in, Dermafocus have kind of, like, everyone knows who they are now.
Skyrocketed.
They've skyrocketed. I mean, even from the first time I contacted the team to now, I mean, I can remember when I first introduced the concept of polynucleotides to my business partners, they were like, what? Who? When? But now everybody's talking about it. So we know, it's obvious, there's been an incredible journey for you guys over the last 12 months. What's the plan for, you'd say, the next 12 months? What are we going to see from Dermafocus?
Okay, so of course the challenge now is to bring on the market new products.
Yeah. What we got?
Exactly. So there are already new products that some clients already know. Probably all of you know already that we have a product is called Polynucleotides 1 and US 1 for the body, and you can use also with I would say any kind of mesotherapy device, because we had a lot of doctors that they wanted to use the product and ask the therapist to use the product. Of course, that we don't sell it to non-medicals, but I also understand that if you want to use polynucleotide as I would say, pure mesotherapy, and you are fully booked and you would like to have more patient in, is good, to have a product that can be used with a device. And Polynucleotides 1 and US 1 is the one. So Polynucleotides 1 is just polynucleotides and US 1 is like newest polynucleotides and HA. And then we will have...
Have you used that, by the way?
No, I haven't used it yet.
It's an absolute game changer.
Is it?
Yeah, and there is no downtime.
No, exactly.
They just absorb within
Yes,
hours. They
yes.
are insane.
Yes, must normally recommend to use it on the body.
Yeah.
I had it on my neck, for instance. Downtime, half an hour.
Yeah,
No way.
Yes.
full absorption.
It's very,
Bring some.
it's very liquid.
Yeah, but I love how you can play, because
It's in
as long
vials.
as you play, they're in vials, so you
Yes.
can play around. If you're thinking, a lot of women who will get, say, crepiness or laxity in the inner thigh, or around the stomach, or even stretch mark area where the skin's lax. Like, I know that, like, you had a treatment done with polynucleotides, didn't you, ages ago, and your told me, so this new one would be incredible. It's so good. I think the main thing for me is the fact that you can play around with the dose, because and without massive changes, and the quick absorption is insane. Just saying.
Just right. And then the new one for intimate areas. So new gene, we already have it in stock, but of course we didn't launch properly as a product. There will be a webinar in December, 12th of December, and we will start to do training from January. So this is mainly for, there is a lot of talk about menopause. There is a lot of talk about the intimate areas, how we can make that area more comfortable, because during the menopause we know, dryness, itchiness, there is lichen, unfortunately, also for youngest. And I had a chat with Isabella Palmieri. She's one of the KOL that publish all the publication on PubMed for Nugene, and she treated also very young ladies after chemotherapy. And she said with great results, because again, polynucleotides is for everyone. It's not just for old patients, but also for use it when the patient needs. So as I said, we normally think about Nugene for perimenopausal and menopausal women, but also for people that, again, like unfortunately very young in Italy, there is a lot of very young ladies with breast cancer. And then when you go through all the medication, all the, of course, that very hard moment, your body is going to react. And that area, unfortunately, is going to get very dry as well. So again, you can use Nugene also for that purposes as well. Is something that is going to, as I said, give a little bit of hydration, give comfort to that area, and it's not a filler, but still I have some picture you will see in the webinar that you can give a tiny bit of volume as well, natural volume. But of course, you can combine it with fillers and any other kind of energy devices.
I was going to say there's a lot of energy devices aimed at this as well, isn't there? So imagine if you were to, if you had one of these devices, preparing that tissue first with polynucleotides. There's a case study waiting to happen there. Anyone who's got a device, get in there quick.
Fun fact that Dr. Palmieri told me, she started to work with Mastelli, I would say 30 years ago. And she was using a product, polynucleotides on inner thighs, very, very high, to lift that area. And after 2 sessions, the lady said, oh, you know what? I had a very nice result also on the intimate areas. She said, how come, And then she did the study and everything. And we know that polynucleotides is something that goes into your blood flow. So it's not going to affect just the area where you inject it, but also in the surrounding area. So the lady realized that the intimate area was more moisture, was more, less uncomfortable. And Dr. Palmieri, she said, okay, let me try. She tried with the polynucleotide that she had at that time. But now, of course, all the publications are related to Nugene. So this is just something that she said, let me try. It was just this kind of like fun fact, I would say.
I imagine if you're a midwife injector, this would be...
That was your area. Your area of expertise.
Exactly.
Absolutely. I think it's definitely progressive, isn't it? We know we've always got to be thinking of the next thing. So I think we know there's a lot more. And I'd say the market's there, but it's a slow grower in the background because a lot of people are nervous, I think, about engaging with it. So it's nice to see. I think, let's be fair, the menopause as a whole is getting a lot of traction over the last couple of years, hasn't it?
I think it's quite a blanketed thing. Like, even for me as a woman, like, I have no idea what to expect. So, I mean, it would be great for me to be educated. But I would love to provide a service to my patients who are going through it. But as a practitioner, I feel like I need to be educated more about it. Like, I think it's something that, and I'm going completely off piste, but for this reason, I wanted as a first trainer a gynecologist. I know that sometimes they don't have, I would say they don't inject a lot. They started now. There are more, I would say, GP and aesthetic doctors that they work on that area. But if you need to be trained, you have to be trained properly.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
So for this reason, I just wanted very hard.
So are you going to be offering that training from the new year?
Yes. The first date is the 27th of Jan in London.
Amazing.
We start with that, see if the people react, because it's a niche. It's not, I mean, is getting something that everyone wants to do now, but I'm thinking that it's still a niche.
Of course it is. It's a people are still embarrassed to openly talk about. I think it's better. It's definitely a conversation topic, whereas 5 years ago it certainly wasn't.
Yeah.
So and there's been some real key people in our industry who've been ploughing that forward. And I think even the event from last weekend, the pause events, that's a new thing. That's highlighting that. So I think it's if you're going to be treating patients and they are women, you need to be educated on this. So definitely has a place, doesn't it?
I feel like aesthetics is, well, in my clinic, and I'm sure your guys' clinic as well, it's like a therapy session. When people come in, they open up to you about things that they haven't told anybody. So I think it's definitely got its place 100%, because I think people would feel very open and comfortable to have that done. It's probably something that they just don't know about.
Also because they trust you at the end of the day. So, you know, you can also, I would say, take them in that kind of conversation, because again, they trust you, they open up with you, and why you have to suffer. Absolutely. I would say, you know,
if there's something that can help.
I'm just thinking about, obviously, our members and everyone who's going to be watching this YouTube video. I think the key is, if they are working with polynucleotides, to, although we've talked about following protocols and certain disclaimer, I'm not encouraging people to go rogue, but I think, get that in there, black line.
Renegade.
But I do think we need to encourage people to, I hate to use the phrase play around with it, but to think out of the box with polynucleotides, you know, to find ways as a business owner to make them relevant. We've kind of said in our practice now that if anyone's going to have a tear trough treatment, we treat them with polynucleotides first anyway.
We do the same in ours.
Yeah. And I think we've got to do that. If we know they're going to get a better result, why are we making it optional? You know, surgeons will say, before you have your surgery, stop smoking. They don't make that optional. So I think we need to start thinking of ways to kind of build these treatments into packages so that people are getting better results.
No, I agree. I think that's definitely the right way to go.
I think that when you start to understand what you can achieve with polynucleotides as a practitioner, I'm not saying you are forcing your patient to do that, but as you said, Kate, you have to build up the journey with some polynucleotides. I'm not saying the full course, maybe just 1 or 2 as a priming. And then, you know, when you do peel, for instance, most of the time you give the kit at home to your patient to start to prep the skin at home. Why we don't do the same with filler, Botox, or any other kind of energy devices treatment? It's something that they're already, I would say, used to. So it's just a different way to approach them. And as I said, because probably they don't know exactly what they can achieve. It's good also, you already probably do that, you know, show before and after with and without polynucleotides. So when Professor Cavallini will publish that study about the Botox, and then we will be able to share, you know, the pictures, then it will be a great results before and after with and without the polynucleotides. As a priming product. And I think that the client can say, oh, why not? I mean, if I can have that results, why not? And it's all something that is not going to harm the skin or myself. Is something that, as I said, is regenerative for your skin. And probably they change their mind, or they probably will understand better. People, if they see before and after, we need before and after, and they see and they said, yes, why not? I want to try it. Because again, I realize also that difference between here and Italy, that in Italy, when they go to the practitioner, they trust the practitioner 100%. They don't question about the product. They don't question about what are you going to do. They go there. They say, I have this problem, how you can fix it. Of course, the practitioner explain all the journey, and they say yes or no. Here I realize people come into the clinic and they want some product that they heard could be good for them, or because, you know, sister or friends, they did it, and sometimes they push the practitioner to do something. So it's something that probably has to change in a way. I know that already some clinics, I would say, sorry to say, Italian way, in that way. But still, I think that, as we said at the beginning, the knowledge is the base. So if you are able to explain in a simple way, it makes sense. Yeah. And I say, yeah, you know, if it makes sense, it makes sense. I can say yes or no, but still, I realized that some people, they say no at the beginning, then they come back and they say yes because they think about it, right?
And they
So-
research it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's something that has to be from ourselves, knowledge and easy way to explain, because I understand that polynucleotides at the beginning seems something quite difficult because it does a lot of things. I say, how come? Just one molecule can do everything. Again, it's regenerative medicine.
Yeah.
It's not HA. HA is amazing. In combination with polynucleotides, it's even better.
Yeah. I think there's a big difference. So when you and I went over to Rome last year, regenerative medicine in Italy clearly has more of a place. I think we're getting that here.
Yes.
But we're just a little bit late to the party.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, it's crazy even still now I'm seeing quite big names just training, just like now training polynucleotides. And I get it, because I think in our world we're hit every week, aren't we, with fads. You need to do this. And I think a lot of people just stand back, and rightly so, and go, I'm going to do my research. But I think when you realise that polynucleotides have been around for a hell of a long time, they're not new, then people kind of buy in a little bit more, don't they?
Yeah, and then any treatment that it comes from regenerative medicine come from the, I would say, official medicine. So it's something that they but used to use it in the official medicine, like for wound healing, for gums, and for corneal structuring. And it's something that if I use it for that purpose, why I cannot use it for beauty purpose or aesthetic purposes, right? And of course, the molecule is slightly different, but it's always polynucleotides.
Yeah.
So just different length, right? The one for the use for the medical purpose is shorter, the other one is a little bit longer, but it's the same molecule actually. Again, it's something that has a very solid base. It's not something people sometimes, myself as well, when comes up something, say, oh, it just, just people, they want that because everyone talk about that. And then if you go more in the depth, if you dig a little bit, you can realize that if one product is really a good thing, or rather it's just like fashion, I would say. And polynucleotide is a big story.
So at CCR, you did, we both delivered a talk, and yours was about how you launch polynucleotides in your practice. I think that's really pertinent, isn't it? Because it is complicated. So for anyone watching this who's thinking, okay, I am trained in it, but I've not got it off the ground, what would you both say they need to do that?
Educate your patients.
Yeah.
Yeah. Deliver education to those around you. Hold a box, make a video, talk about it, show how passionate you are, and that you understand it and what it's going to do. And offer model days as well. Get bums in seats so they can see the difference that it makes. And then you can show, you have your before and afters, your case studies, and it'll sell itself.
And explain how it's not there to replace any of their treatments they like. It's there to enhance the treatments they're having and work alongside them. They don't have to stop the skin boosters they've been having or the fillers that they've been having. These are just going to enhance the results. So the people, I think when they first came out, they were worried because they were having something they've been having for so long and it worked for them and they didn't want to change it. This will just enhance it and slip in alongside.
I must admit, I got that. I think we've all got that one patient who loves Profilo or who loves this, and they're like, don't take it off me. And you're just like, this is... But we are it's different. But anyone who does have Profilo patients, you will always have them at some point going, but it just doesn't last forever.
Yeah.
They'll all say that at the same time.
And it hurts.
And it hurts. Yeah. And it really hurts. But it has a place and it does great things. So, but it's about taking those patients, isn't it? And going, right, well, we'll mix it up a little bit.
You can have them both.
Yeah.
Mess up the lines.
Exactly.
Have it all.
I don't like Profilo, Hello.
Yeah.
But it doesn't last very long.
Polynucleotides for long-term skin rejuvenation and Profilo for instant glow.
Yeah.
Birthday packages.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or weddings.
Works together.
Yeah. I agree.
So I think the only thing to finish on that I think would be great saying is I want to encourage our members to do case studies, to do more case studies, because we're seeing such great results. Like you've shown me, and yet, like your rosacea stuff, people talk about it. Get it in a paper. No, but the thing is, please, no, but the thing is, when we all are doing such great stuff, whether it's priming and then filling, whatever it is, I just want to encourage people to kind of just shout about those results a little bit louder, publish them, or even reach out and do some combination, like with you. If somebody else is doing rosacea and getting great results, reach out to you and do a paper together.
Yeah.
If you're doing some great stuff, share it, because I just think sometimes we see such great stuff being shared, but then they're not writing about it. And more nurses need to write about stuff. We moan about it sometimes that we've not got a platform, but we need more people to be encouraged to
I think
to
maybe
speak
we
up.
don't know how.
Yeah.
I think that's the...
Well, there's a 101 webinar coming up.
Hey.
Nurse Network webinar.
How to publish.
How to publish.
Absolutely.
Led by Kate.
Definitely.
No, but it's true though. We think it's really complicated, and it's not.
No.
And we should be more.
And I think patients do
encouraged.
get excited. Like if you're saying, I'm writing a paper, I need patients for this paper, people are like, oh, I'll be in the paper.
But why not though?
No, exactly.
No, why should we not do
Benefits
that?
everyone, patients, practitioners.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I think also we don't give ourselves, sometimes people don't give themselves enough credit. This is our industry, it's our business, we're doing well, we're driving it forward. So anyone who's seeing such good results, reach out, let's get them published.
Yeah.
Share the noise. Please do it. We need to do
One
it.
paper coming up.
Yeah.
One thing that I forgot to say, that because polynucleotides are really popular at the moment, more polynucleotides products are coming from outside Europe. So we were talking about safetiness of the product. So, of course, products that they come outside Europe, they have different kind of regulation. And we don't know exactly the technology that they use to purify the product, because, as I said, the product comes from fish. So if the laboratory using a specific technology, patent technology, to purify the molecule, then you will have a pure molecule. Pure molecule means no lipids, no protein in order to trigger the immune response. And we know that with Mastelli, of course, we have the highest technology on the market. So
Covered by industrial secrecy, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. So for this reason, I would like to say people out there to be careful which kind of product they are using, because of course I'm talking about the product that we distribute, because we know that the product is safe. So all the products that are coming outside Europe is better to check, because we don't know exactly what's going on. We don't know exactly how they sterilize it, how they purified it, and which kind of source they have. So they can trigger the immune response. So this is something that,
Question for you. How would people check? How would we advise people to do that?
It's easy to check, because they are made mostly in Italy or in Korea. Yeah. So I'm not saying the Korean one is bad. I'm just saying that we know exactly what's going on in the Italian laboratories. We don't know exactly what's going on in Korea, also because the regulation is different.
Yeah.
So we are under the EU regulation, and EU regulatory is really, really strict on cosmetics, on injectables, and all this kind of stuff. So just, to be aware of that.
Yeah.
To be
That's a
aware of
great
that.
point to end on.
Yeah, I agree.
Thanks, Silvia.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.